Uh-oh. Okay, and now it's time for another installment of what is fast becoming one of the more popular segments here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail. As 112 Sports reacted to my recent thumbnail by saying, this picture is racist and violates Clarissa Shields' civil rights. What rights are being violated? A history lesson. Most anti-black images show a caricature of a black person with large teeth, usually framed by oversized red lips. Like, what the hell are we even doing here? What we do to everybody else here on the channel. I put Teofimo Lopez in a dress. More specifically, an Alice in Wonderland dress to highlight how he's in La La Land. More than one occasion, I've painted Ryan Garcia green, like the Incredible Hulk, highlighting his Osterin case and how he was on the juice. Nobody turned activist over it. These unflattering caricatures and doctored images that I often use. It's only with Clarissa Shields that everybody wants to march, and that's because those individuals are sensitive about their looks. Self-conscious. You will notice a guy who goes by the name Only Two Genders used a racial slur to react to the thumbnail, because in his own mind, he is reciprocating on behalf of Clarissa Shields, giving back the energy that she's being given when... This isn't about you. It's about her, but because you identify with her, you take any criticism levied against her as a personal attack. You are projecting, and you're only doing so because you're sensitive about your looks. If you weren't, you wouldn't be reacting. As the old saying goes, a hit dog will holler. The indictment is supposed to be, according to Matt Brunch, is that y'all aren't low. Play ignorant if you want. We know what you are doing. Damn shame that Amanda Serrano and Alicia Baumgartner are engaging in that racist imagery. Clarissa Shields shouldn't be subjected to this Jim Crow style of abuse. The more things change, the more they stay the same. No, it's more like you inject race into everything. Everything you do, every conversation you have, you're obsessed with it. You're obsessed with Jim Crow. It's not a secret that Clarissa Shields is known for having a big mouth. Thus, the caricature of her has a big mouth. But you equate that to Jim Crow cartoons. There's another old saying that if you go looking for dog shit in a field, you're likely going to find it. Huh? If you are constantly looking for something to be outraged about, you will likely find it in the darndest places. That in your own mind's eye, if you are still looking for remnants of the Jim Crow era in the postmodern one, in your own mind, you're going to find them. But this is not an apology. I don't think Clarissa Shields is an attractive woman. I think she's annoying. I think she's brash and brutish. And I think that you are sensitive about your looks, which is why you're so easily triggered. And you walk around this way thinking it's everybody else's problem when it's not. How do I know you're sensitive? You're projecting yourself into a caricature of a female athlete based on the one thing you have in common with her. Why would you be doing this if you weren't sensitive about it? Why would any commentary about Clarissa Shields' looks leave you so affected? What does her aesthetic have to do with you? Are you trying to gatekeep other people's preferences and what they should find attractive? Because that's how it sounds. That's how it comes off. Oh, you have to find Clarissa Shields attractive. You have to. Otherwise, you're Jim Crow. You have to agree with her, whatever she says. No matter how inaccurate or inappropriate it is, you have to. Otherwise, you're a bigot. For years, there's been a section of the online community that's looked to bully others with these baseless accusations for no other reason than their own issues. Because you're the self-conscious one. Due to that, you turn everything into a stigma, everything into a stereotype, even when it's not about you. Even when it's obvious why the caricature depicts Clarissa Shields as having a big mouth, It's because she's known as a big mouth. But why should you be sensitive about that when no one is talking about you or anyone else? You're making it about yourself due to your own complex. As stated, there have been any number of caricatures and doctored images we've used here on this channel, and no one turned activist over them. They only turned activist over Clarissa because they're trying to bully you into saying what they want you to say. They're trying to bully you into agreeing with them and falling in line with their way of thinking. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe you like Clarissa Shields, maybe you like her aesthetic, but she's a little bit too brutish for my taste. In tandem with her attitude that doesn't do her aesthetic any favors, but you think you're going to debate and discuss. What, are you going to try to force me to like her? Going to be riding this scooter for a while, so long as the hate mail keeps pouring in from the pseudo-activists on Twitter that seem to have more time to argue on Twitter than attend one of Shields' fights, because she's supposed to have a fight coming up, and I wonder how many of these people are actually going to go that you support her so much. You love her so much. Many of you guys went to her last fight, or the one before that you're trying to gatekeep what opinions people should have of her. You're too stupid to know how stupid you sound. And I am only speaking to the individuals that are speaking to me, not the entirety of an ethnic group or a race. Just you. You don't want it to be that way because you don't want to have to stand on your own, stand on your square. You seek refuge in numbers. You have to because you're weak. You have to make it about anything and everything else, because if we just stick to the subject, there is no rebuttal. There is no retort. It's not written anywhere that you have to like Clarissa Shields or find her attractive. Your sensitive nature is beginning to encroach on the entitlements of others to where you think you can gatekeep what they say and how they feel. Well, your moral authority when preferences based on aesthetics have very little to do with morals. All the while pretending that you don't carry on the exact same way about people that you don't like. What, you're giving yourself a pass to do it, but nobody else can.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
That's the power you wish you had, and I'm a little bit surprised how many people reacted to that image because it's giving it away. How many lurkers and how many hate watchers? You clowns are hanging off of my every word. You seem to be obsessed with people that you don't like. That's what makes it gatekeeping, isn't it? That you don't have anything better to do. Not even attending, actually being there for a Clarissa Shields fight. You'd rather comb the internet for things to be mad about. Expecting strangers online to play your game and acquiesce to your views, the power you wish you had. The collective egos of these particular individuals that took it upon themselves to address me and my thumbnail, those egos are out of control. Get over yourself. You think far too much of yourself, expecting me to pander to you.
Let's go.
I never thought that, but I'm sure Tone about to say something like that.
No, Coach, like respectfully, it do look like a duck. It looks like a duck because they saying how does your value go up after not fighting? Because the last time we see Floyd Schofield, he was in a hospital with ventilators.
Right. Because the bottom line is they think their young dog could take him. That's the thing. And he's coming up fast. And they think he could take him. So to us, it ain't no step down because their step up, he already said we ain't fighting Shakur. He said that shit sailed. Well, fight my young buck. That's what he said.
He did say that.
So the thing was, so y'all not going to give us that our shot back. Y'all know we was in the hospital. Y'all know we didn't pull out. The British board pulled us out of that fight and wouldn't let us take that fight. We was begging for the fight. So they know this. So the bottom line, if they not going to give us that fight, but y'all going to give us another check, respect. I respect that. Yes, what happened to him, I'm sorry. We getting past that. But y'all going to give us another big payday? We respect that as men, and we're going to go in there and do our job as other men. So it is what it is, and we respect them.
Valid points were made during that sit-down interview with the Schofields. Valid questions were asked that from the time that the Schofields withdrew from the Shakur Stevenson fight till now, in what way have they increased their value that they are now asking for 2 times the amount of money they stood to make fighting a reigning champion? Why should they make more fighting a prospect? I wondered about this yesterday. When Floyd Schofield said on camera, yesterday's price is not today's price, it gave me the impression that they were aiming to get paid even more for Abdullah Mason than they stood to make fighting Shakur Stevenson, which makes absolutely no sense. Why would you get paid more to fight a prospect than to fight a 3-weight champion, a reigning champion? How on earth? How does that make sense?
Because the bottom line is they think their young dog could take him. That's the thing. And he's coming up fast. And they think he could take him. So to us, it ain't no step down because their step up, he already said we ain't fighting Shakur. He said that shit sailed. Well, fight my young buck. That's what he said.
He did say that.
So the thing was, so y'all not gonna give us that our shot back. Y'all know we was in the hospital. Y'all know.
What? It's come to my attention that what the Schofields stood to make from the Stevenson fight, if they would have had it, was in the neighborhood of $1.1 million. Whereas for Abdullah Mason, they are now asking for 2.5. That's more than 2 times the money they would have made fighting Shakur.
How do you skip out on that fight, then turn around and ask for more money? A lot more money.
Because it's a duck. They're setting an asking price so high, they don't expect to get it. And if they don't get it, they don't fight. Because they don't want that fight. They don't want to fight Abdullah Mason. Any more than they wanted to fight Shakur Stevenson.
It's a sophisticated duck. The old saying goes, there are a lot of ways to say no to a fight. And one of which is setting an asking price so high, you can't possibly expect to get it. So that when you don't fight.
I think that Floyd Schofield Sr. is doing a lot of damage to his son's reputation. Needlessly, I might add, because Floyd hasn't even fought for a title yet. He's not even in position to fight for a title yet. And you're already getting him a bad reputation. The optics of this are pretty bad. You pulled out on Ashton Silva. You pulled out on Shakur Stevenson. Now you priced yourself out of an Abdullah Mason fight. And the most that your promoter wants to do for you is put you in the ring with Tevin Farmer, who's coming off of not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive losses.
Wouldn't be so bad if you didn't do all this damage to your own reputation.
In pursuit of more camera time, because what I notice about these boxing dads is they relish the opportunity to be interviewed when they're not even the focus. They're not at the center of the conversation. Their children are.
But you can see they like to hear themselves talk. They like to make it about themselves, whether it's Mama Schofield or Bill Haney, Teofimo Sr.
They like the camera time too much, to the point they're doing damage to their sons' reputations.
Could have saved them a lot of trouble by not saying anything at all.
There's no real reason to ask for 2 times the money to fight a less experienced fighter. I feel like that makes it more obvious you guys were never serious about fighting Shakur.
Why?
How could they be? They won't fight Abdullah for less than 2.5. So why am I supposed to believe they were really gonna fight Shakur for 1.1?
They weren't.
So when all of this first kicked off, I didn't think there was much chance that we'd see Abdullah Mason versus Floyd Schofield, and it appears that we won't. What we will see on the undercard of Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos, that has now been officially announced, is Abdullah Mason versus Jeremiah Nakatila. You may be familiar with that name. That's the same Nakatila that fought Shakur Stevenson and Raymond Muratalla, who is now going to be fighting Abdullah Mason.
I like the fight. Jeremiah's a big guy for 135 pounds and a strong one, at least according to Shakur Stevenson, who was accused of laying an egg in that fight, being too cautious and too careful for fear of Jeremiah's power. Now we get to see how Abdullah Mason handles that same guy.
Y'all know is comparatively a lot less experienced than Shakur was when he fought Jeremiah. How will Abdullah handle this assignment? I'm very high on this young fighter, but his defense is not the best. He's already hit the canvas 2 times.
Accenting that there is more work that needs doing for Abdullah, but this is a step up in class. Has he done the work? We'll find out.
In June, in Norfolk, on the undercard of Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos.
And Floyd? What about Floyd?
This entire fiasco seems to have done a lot of damage to young Floyd's reputation for what is his father's pursuit of more airtime.
And that will continue to be the case until he decides to dial it down a bit.
Now back over to Abdullah and Keyshawn Davis, who have been signed as part of a trio of Ring Magazine brand ambassadors.
Turkey LL Sheik's Ring Magazine.
Ring Magazine has added significant names to its stable in recent days. Ring Magazine announced on X that it signed WBO lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis, featherweight contender Bruce Shushu Carrington, rising lightweight contender Abdullah Mason, and rising heavyweight prospect Danier Perro to brand ambassador deals. Davis, Carrington, and Mason are all promoted by Top Rank, while Perro is partnered with Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotion. promotions. Davis is the headliner of the bunch and emphatically won the WBO lightweight title the last time he stepped foot in the ring, dropping then-champion Denis Berinchyk twice and stopping him in the 4th round with a pair of brutal body shots on February 14th. Dan Rafael and Mike Kopinger have reported that Davis would be facing hard-hitting southpaw Edwin De Los Santos June 7th in what is another homecoming bout at the Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Bruce Carrington, 15-0 with 9 KOs, is on the cusp of a title shot after he became the first man to stop Enrique Vivas on March 29th. Winning by 3rd-round stoppage, Carrington is ranked number 1 by the WBC and WBO, number 2 by the WBA, and number 4 by the IBF. Abdullah Mason, 18-0 with 16 KOs, is on the rise from top prospect to contender at lightweight, and a fight with Davis can be one of the boxing's best matchups if it comes into fruition in the future. The explosive southpaw from Cleveland, Ohio, has won 8 straight by stoppage, including a 6th-round stoppage of Carlos Ornelas on April 5th.
So Turkey has appointed 4 separate young brand ambassadors, 3 of which are with Top Rank. What is his interest in Top Rank's young stable of lions? And how comfortable is Top Rank with such an arrangement?
I happen to think that after what happened to Jared Anderson in August of last year on the undercard of Crawford versus Madrimov, Top Rank may have had their reservations as to what fighters they would allow Turkey access to for fear that it may happen again with another one of their unbeaten up-and-comers. But what this seems to indicate is that they've softened their stance, because if 3 of your guys, 3 of the ones you're invested in, the young ones, the unbeaten ones, are now brand ambassadors for Ring,
they're in Turkey's pocket. Turkey's paying them. It's an arm of revenue for the fighters, tantamount to a corporate sponsorship and endorsement.
Another arm of revenue for the fighters, not exclusive to their fight purses. But what I think it also is,
And what it also heralds,
is the potentiality that all 3 of those fighters with Top Rank, 4 in total, will make appearances on Turkey's Ring magazine cards.
It's not without purpose.
Why Top Rank might be going along with this is that, rumor has it, they're set to be losing their longtime broadcast partner, ESPN, this summer.
This is an opportunity to maybe outsource those fighters to keep them active and keep them busy until such a time as you can secure a new broadcast partner. That's what this could be. And if nothing else, when they box on Turkey shows, you get to make money at no cost to you, because he's the one paying them. You get your cut
without having to stake any of your own money.
So everybody wins. Turkey gets a couple of bodies to fill a show with, the fighters get to make extra cash, and so does Top Rank.
I don't know that it's the most pleasant arrangement for them, but it may be a sensible one at this point in the juncture.
These are promising young fighters, not a bunch of Mayweather clones like what we saw with the last crop of youngsters. These guys like action. Keyshawn Davis, Bruce Carrington, Abdullah Mason. They have their own identities. They're not trying to emulate anyone, which is good.
Often referred to as the sweet science, it's the sweet science of brutality. So tell the whole story, why don't you? The people show up for action, and these 3 can provide it.
Stating the obvious, these are very good brand ambassadors for Ring magazine.